Hey everyone, welcome back to a second channel video and welcome to the floor of my office. I'm literally just sat on the floor by my bookcases. I thought today it would be fun to do just a little video recommending some of my favourite nature books to you, because if you guys aren't, well, you might know this, but one of my favourite things that I love to do when I'm feeling a little bit stressed or a little bit sad, or especially nights when I can't sleep, is I like to read nature books. I find them really, really relaxing. They really kind of help me tune out the bad things in the world and just focus on kind of the beauty of where we live and why it needs protecting. And so I thought today would be nice to share a couple of those books with you that I find really help me, that I find really informative, some that are just really pretty to look at. And I was inspired to make this video by a couple of gifts that I got sent by one of you lovely lot over, these got sent to, actually it's from my Amazon wishlist, I think. And these were sent to me by the wonderful Catherine. I've got Botanical Curses and Poisons, The Shadow Lives of Plants by Fez Inkwright, and this one which is Weird Plants by Chris Thorogood. Great name, love that. And basically it is literally just a book about weird plants of the world with all these beautiful illustrations and information about them. This one is also filled with beautiful illustrations and information about kind of like crazy uses for plants throughout history and how some of them are poisonous and dangerous and things like that. I found out about this one, was really inspired to read it after me and my sister visited a poison garden in Alnwick, I think it was, last year, and we had a wonderful time. And yeah, it's got me really interested in kind of dangerous plants ever since. So these two I haven't read yet, but I am going to be reading them soon, and it's kind of what's inspired this video. So I figured I didn't really have a plan for this. I thought we'd just maybe have a look at my bookshelves and I'd talk you through some stuff. So what's a fun one to start with? Down here on the bottom shelves I kind of have a lot of the kind of big, I guess some people might call them coffee table books, because they're the big ones with lots of photos and stuff, and most of mine are focused on nature, and these are the ones I like to read late at night when I can't sleep. So Dynasties, however you want to pronounce it. This one's one of my favourites. I absolutely love reading this. This is The Rise and Fall of Animal Families, and basically it focuses on 5 different animals throughout this, and each get their own chapter, and it kind of follows the life of one particular family, the different generations, everything from kind of birth to death to everyday life in between, and it's absolutely wonderful. My favourite, is it 6 animals? 5 animals, yeah, 5 animals. My favourite chapter in this is actually the first one on the lions. I just think everything from the photographs are so beautiful. It was reading nature books like this as a kid that got me interested in photography in the first place, and I still find them so inspiring. I'd love to go somewhere and take photos like this one day of these animals. I think it's beautiful. I'm actually, one of my goals for this year is to buy myself a really nice telephoto lens so I can go out in the summer and take some really nice bird photos, because I love birds, I'm obsessed. But one of the things I find really inspiring about especially the lion chapter in this book is, and this is going to sound really silly, but it's the focus on how strong the women are in lion families. So lions really are completely matriarchal, and yeah, the men are there and they're kind of around, and I guess technically they're for protection, if you will, but honestly it's mostly the women who do everything. They, if you can call lions women, you can, they're women, come on. They're the ones who go out and do the hunting and find the food. They're the ones who raise the babies and protect them. And honestly, when the male lions aren't around, which is actually a fair amount of time, the women are the ones who have to step in and do the protecting and the fighting. And there's like this really heartbreaking story in here with one of the lionesses. She's like one of the aunties to the main bunches of cubs, like she doesn't have any kids of her own, but she gets like in such a state, bless her, protecting her family and having to fight off predators, and she gets so injured, and thankfully she pulls through and she's okay. But it's just like, oh my god, it's so emotional. These like amazing lions, just what they do to protect their families is so inspiring, and yeah, I love this book. Thoroughly recommend it. It is based off a BBC documentary series, which I haven't actually watched, strangely enough. I do love watching nature documentaries, but for some reason I kind of prefer reading about them. I'm not sure why. It's just me. Beetles of the World here is one that I've recommended in another video on this channel, so I'm not going to go into too much detail of that. This book is kind of amazing. If anyone is into geology, this is Strata. And basically it is a collection of geological maps, and it kind of like goes into detail explaining them, explaining different bits about like what rocks you'll find there, what rocks you'll find where and why. And it's just an absolutely stunning book, and it is completely fascinating. It really is. I also really like rocks. Rocks are great. You know, a lot of people I've seen are mocking Colleen Ballinger at the minute for getting into rocks, but you know, it's the one thing I can't fault her for. She's done a lot of crap and she's done a lot of harm in the world, but you know, if she likes rocks, let her like rocks. I love rocks. What else have we got that's really good? Oh my god, I think I've recommended this one before in a very, very old video on my channel, probably one of my earliest ones, but Inside Nature's Giants is fantastic if you like the biology behind nature stuff. So if you're a bit squeamish, this one might not be for you, because basically this was based on a TV series where they did essentially autopsies on some of the biggest animals in the world, and there are photographs of it in this book, so I'm not going to show you them because it is quite graphic at times. But there's actually, no, that's got an autopsy photo. I was going to say there's also lots of really nice photos as well of the animals alive and well, and really cool like anatomical diagrams as well. And basically what they do by performing these autopsies and taking you through it is they show you the full anatomy of these amazing animals. So you've got a giraffe, you've got, I think, a giant squid, you've got an elephant, let me see who else is in here, I can't quite remember off the top of my head. So giant squid, whale, polar bear, crocodile, kangaroo, giraffe, and so on. It goes on. And it's fascinating because, like, especially like say with the elephant one, they show you just how strong like an elephant's foot is and how much weight it can take and things like that. Giant squids are fascinating because there is kind of a theory out there that we don't actually know how big they can get, and that we haven't seen the world's largest giant squid yet. They're still out there in the deep oceans. Some of the biggest ones we've seen as well are dead ones, so we've never actually seen some of the biggest giant squids alive. And so anyway, it's fascinating because it really teaches you kind of like not only how these animals behave, but why and what biological and anatomical and physiological features, I'm just saying a lot of words now, but what features they have that allow them to do certain things. Like, so especially with the giraffe one, understanding like how their neck muscles work, and understanding like, because I think it was by reading this book that I found out that you know how giraffes have purple tongues? That's because they actually spend such a large amount of time with their tongues hanging out of their mouths trying to strip leaves and bark from trees and plants, that if they didn't have a dark purple tongue, they would end up with a very, very sunburnt tongue. So it's a protection thing to stop their tongue getting sunburnt. Brilliant. Genius. Ah, nature's the best. So again, if you're a little squeamish, you might not like this book, but, and oh, and also I should say that all the animals they do dissect in this, they have died of natural causes, so no animals are harmed at all in the making of this book. I feel that's a really important thing to bring up. But I just think it's kind of beautiful to see that out of something as heartbreaking as death, we can still learn stuff from it, and we can use something awful as a way to further our understanding and appreciation of these beautiful creatures. And I think that's kind of amazing. I hope that I can be useful when I die, you know? Like, I know I'm signed up to be an organ donor, but part of me kind of wants my body to go to something like, I don't know, I kind of think, I'm thinking about maybe like donating my body to science, you know, because bodies can be used for all kinds of amazing stuff. Some bodies are put into like body farms so they can test rates of decay and decomposition in different situations, which can really help in things like, you know, understanding murder cases, or, you know, cases where bodies have been left somewhere and figuring out what happened to people. If you donate your body to science, it might be used in testing and experiments, for example, like in testing car safety and stuff, so that could go towards saving a lot of lives. You might be used in like dissections and stuff for medical students, or medical examiners or stuff like that. And I just think, I don't know, it seems so much nicer to be used for something like that, or to donate your organs, than to just be like buried in the ground or burnt, you know? I'd like, when I die, I want my body to be useful. Yeah. Sorry, I feel like that's a little bit dark. What else is good here, other than all of them? This one's a little bit different, but this is one of my favourite books ever. This is The Golden Age of Botanical Art, and again, you guys might know this, but I am obsessed with botanical art. I love it so much. I will spend hours in different museums or art galleries looking at botanical paintings and stuff, and this book is a beautiful selection of, honestly, some of the best from throughout history. And it's really nice because it kind of goes through in chronological order, and it has different little features for different artists, and it kind of teaches you about, you know, where people got their specimens from to draw these, how people found them, how useful these drawings and art were at different times in terms of science and stuff like that, but also especially like towards the beginning in some places, they talk about the kind of purpose and use of botanical art in art itself, and how, you know, sometimes they weren't necessarily the most accurate drawings, but there was symbolism to them and things like that. And then as time went on, they became more and more accurate as they were used for actual like scientific study and everything. And it's kind of nice to know that, especially some of the pieces towards the middle and end of this book, it really is a beautiful mix of science and art, of beauty and, what's the word I'm looking for when something's useful? We'll just say usefulness for now. My brain is not working today. I can say beauty and practicality, you know? It's a beautiful mix of beauty and practicality. And yeah, I just think it's brilliant. I love this book. Always relaxes me very much to read it. And the art is beautiful, the information is fascinating. There's just so much more to this one single area of art than even I realised, and yeah, beautiful, amazing, love it. Thoroughly recommend this book, even if you have just like a slight passing interest in the topic. I do have a few other books on botanical art, but that one's my favourite. If you want something a little bit more fun, and this is a strange thing for me to potentially say, but another one of my big interests, and this is going to make me sound like a child, is pop-up books. I love pop-up books. I am obsessed. I will collect any and every kind of pop-up book because I just think as pieces of art, they are genius and they are beautiful, and I am in awe of them. So I love them. Like for my birthday last year, my friend Joe literally got me a pop-up book version of Alice in Wonderland. One of my favourite books ever, and a pop-up book. It was the perfect gift for me, and I love that so much. But one of the other pop-up books I have is this, which is Sharks and Other Sea Monsters by Robert Sabuda and Matthew Reinhardt. And I'm just gonna open it and show you. I know! It's amazing. This is a beautiful guide to animals, to sea creatures. Sorry, I love it, I love it. The pieces move, it's absolutely stunning. And what's really cool is you also have extra bits which open up so you can get more information about certain things. Each page is just like so packed with information and art. I just think it's one of the most beautiful things I own. And this book is just an absolute pleasure to read and experience in every way. I love it. I love it so much. So I won't show you too much, but if you have any interest in sea animals or arty books or pop-up books, this one you cannot go wrong with. It is incredible. Hey, Cuckoo, do you want to come say hi? Cuckoo, Mama. Good girl. Hi, baby. Can you see the camera? Do you mind if I just lift you? Say hello. Hello. Mwah. Beautiful one. Pop you down. Good girl. What's your favourite book, baby? Do you want to tell everyone? Yeah, what do you like? Do you like books about bull? Books about steak? book's about Snuggles. Yes. You're a good girl, aren't you? You sleepy today? Yeah? You sleepy? She came out with me last night to my writing group and she got so much attention from everyone. But after she's been out, like on a night like that, she gets very tired. Don't you, baby? Are you sleepy, girl? You sleepy? You're so chilled out today, aren't you? Yes. Alright, do you mind if Mummy just stands up and gets a book? Is that okay? Yeah, you sit on me. Just give me a second, beautiful. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, little book. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to grab a couple of these. I'll show you this one. Just going to have to move my silly goose for a second. Put them there. Yes. I will grab these two. These are good. I'll make these the last books I show you in this video because I don't want it to be too long, but these are some really cool ones. So in the same vein as this Weird Plants book I showed you in the beginning, this one is really, really fun. This is Hotest Curious, and again, this is about weird and wonderful plants, and it's a very beautifully illustrated book again, and goes into detail on different weird plants from around the world. And some of them are plants that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be weird, some that are quite common, but that have weird properties about them, or have been used for weird things, or maybe they reproduce in weird ways, or they have weird flowers or seeds or something like that. There's so much fascinating stuff about plants that I think we kind of take for granted and don't realise, especially the plants that are just around us every day. And that kind of brings me to this second book here that I want to talk about, which is Weeds by Gareth Richards. And I've read a couple of books on weeds. The other one is, actually it's still in my living room at the minute because I'm busy making notes on it. I'll pop the image of it on screen because I can't remember who it's by, but it's also called Weeds. This one though is more of a book where it goes through a single weed at a time and tells you about it. And it kind of, between this and the other one, really makes me think about, like, how do we actually define what a weed is? What makes a plant a weed? And mostly, and this might sound silly, the idea of a weed is a social construct. There is nothing biological or scientific that makes a weed a weed. It's all down to what social values we place on a plant. So is it native to the area? Is it invasive? Is it where it should be? Has it been put there on purpose? Or is it growing where it's unwanted? All these different things are kind of how we define weeds. And by reading these books about weeds, it kind of makes me realise that, like, weeds are still just as beautiful as any other plant. They're honestly no different than any other plant, except they might be a bit inconvenient to people or something like that. And I think it's really nice to kind of reevaluate our opinion of something that it's almost taken for granted that we shouldn't like weeds, we should get rid of weeds. And I think kind of reassessing our position and realising that, hang on a minute, these can be beautiful and useful and should be appreciated and protected in some cases as well, is a really nice way of kind of thinking about things and changing our views and all that sort of thing. I'm far more articulate when I'm writing than when I'm speaking. I feel like I'm just rambling right now. Isn't that right, sleepy girl? You okay? Baby. Baby's eyes are also playing up at the minute. Oh, angel. Oh, girl. If you've been around a while, you might know Kubi has an issue with ingrown eyelashes, which means that, so you know how we have like a waterline on our eye and then the eyelashes grow above it? Her eyelashes sometimes grow on the waterline or below it, so they kind of point in towards her eyeball, and, sorry, that's my computer, and they can make her eyes really, really sore and really itchy, and it can be hard to open them sometimes. So she's got special eye drops that she has for when they're rotating her, and we put those in as often as she needs them. She hasn't actually had a flare-up with this in quite a few months, so she's been okay, but it's quite a bad one this time, and it's bothering you, isn't it, baby? So you're getting watery eyes, they're getting a little bit sore, but she's having her eye drops, which is good. If they get really bad, I can take her to the vet and they'll pluck them. But usually they do just kind of like fall out naturally by themselves, which is good. There is a long-term option, which we were given like 5.5 years ago now, which would have been to have an operation on her eye where they literally slice off a bit of the waterline where the eyelashes grow from, which obviously would have stopped the ingrown eyelashes from growing anymore, but there was also a really high chance that it would have left her without the ability to close her eye properly. So it just didn't seem like a risk worth taking. Like, it could have caused her real long-term pain and irritation more than the eyelashes. It could have been dangerous. It would have meant her having like an operation and being under anaesthetic, and oh baby, your little face. You are really sorry for yourself, aren't you? Baby bear. But yeah, it's just, to me, and I was with Dan at the time, like, it wasn't worth the risk to her health and her long-term well-being. So as it stands with the eyelashes, it's manageable. You just have a few bad days every now and again, don't you? I know. But I do everything I can to make you comfortable, don't I? And you're very brave. You're very, very brave. And she hates having the eye drops put in, but afterwards she always gets a snack. So you love that bit, don't you? Yes. You want a snack? Biscuit? Snack and biscuit? Oh, baby, you are tired. Oh, are you okay? My angel, come here, let me hold you. There you go. You are a bit down today, aren't you? It's okay. You're safe. Oh, that's my tummy grumbling, babe. You're as hungry as I am. Yeah, should we get some food after this? Should we go make some pasta? Yeah, should we make some pasta? Alright, I have one more book to tell you about very quickly. And that is this, which I haven't read this whole thing yet. I've only kind of like had a flick through and read a few little chapters that I found fun because they were animals that I liked. But this is Megan McCubbin's An Atlas of Endangered Species, and basically it just goes through in each, pardon you, it goes through in each little chapter is about a different animal. Again, beautiful illustrations. I love books with beautiful illustrations. And then each goes through and it tells you about the different animal, and it's all different animals around the world that are endangered to varying degrees. Some of them are ones you might not have heard of, some of them are ones that you probably will have heard of, but might not have realised how endangered they were, or what is putting them at risk, or more importantly, what we can do about it to stop them being endangered. So one of the things I do every year is I adopt an animal from the World Wildlife Fund, and I give money to various animals. Usually I pick elephants because they're my favourites, and I do love elephants. Well, I say favourites other than octopuses. But there's a lot of animals you can do, and I like to donate to other causes as well when I can that help you know, supporting various endangered animals around the world. And I don't think we realise like how much damage humans do, and how little things that we do can have these big knock-on effects. So a while back now, it was, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I think, I was on Elise's podcast, and in one episode, well, I've been on Elise's podcast quite a few times, but in one episode in particular, I was telling her the story about how in Yellowstone National Park in America, there was a problem with wolves, and people were really, really mad about the wolves. They kind of saw them as a bit of a nuisance. They thought wolves were damaging neighbouring people's land, livestock, crops, that sort of thing. So they were like, you know what, we need to get rid of the wolves. And they started wiping out all the wolves in Yellowstone. And it's been a while since I read this, so excuse me if I'm getting a couple of details wrong here or there. But basically they started doing this until no wolves in Yellowstone. The problem is, the things that the wolves were preying on weren't actually so much local livestock, but were more the other animals in Yellowstone National Park. One of the big things was elks. So without all the wolves there, the elk population kind of, you know, more and more elks because they weren't dying. This meant more elks eating more of the plants around. More elks eating more plants meant there were less plants for example, the local birds. So then the birds started dying off. This also affected the insect population, which the birds would eat, or sometimes the insects would eat the plants. And so you had some insect populations going up, some going down, without all the plants there on the riverbanks with the roots to essentially like hold the riverbanks together. The river banks started decaying and eroding, and this affected the fish that were living in the rivers. It affected, I think, the local otters and beavers and stuff like that. So basically the human intervention of saying, oh, these wolves are a nuisance, we need to get rid of them, ruined an entire ecosystem and literally ended up damaging thousands of the lives of thousands of animals within that ecosystem. One little thing can mess everything up, because it's a fine balance, you know? So to resolve it, what they had to do was literally start reintroducing wolves back into the population, and it took decades to try and get it back into any kind of balance, and still not there yet, I don't think. But yeah, crazy. It's what book was I reading that in? You know what, again, I'm gonna go Google it and I'll pop it on screen because it was fascinating. And again, it's a couple of years since I've read it, so I might have a few of the details wrong, but the gist is there, you get it. And yeah, I'd recommend you go and have a read of that for yourself. So, point is, I find reading about endangered species and what is causing the dangers to them and what we can do to stop it really, really interesting, and also kind of necessary for understanding our world and our place in it. So I recommend that book and other books on the topic as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much me done for today. I think Kubi's hungry, so I'm gonna go get her a snack in a moment. My tummy is rumbling so much as well. I am starving. It is after lunchtime and I've not had a meal yet, so I should probably go do that. Go make some nice pasta, which will be good. Excuse me. Rude. But yeah, thank you for just listening to me ramble about books for a little bit today. I'm enjoying doing these fun, relaxed little videos over here on my second channel. It's nice to do something a lot lighter and just, you know, I could just sit down and talk to you naturally instead of having to like plan a 3-hour-long video script that takes me like 10 days to write, you know? So this is quite nice. But yeah, thank you for watching today. If you did like this, please make sure you go check out my main channel as well and check out the other videos I have over here. I've got some clips of main channel videos, I've got some makeup videos, I've got some other little book videos, and I have some art videos as well, which is really, really fun. Also, let me know if you're interested. I've just pre-ordered the new Army Paints Fanatic paints, which I'm very, very excited about. I just got this set of 50 paints. I think that's going to be more than enough for me. But those paints have the best reviews, and I'm so excited to give them a try because I've been wanting to expand my colour selection of mini paints for a long time. So I think I'm going to celebrate by buying myself a nice new big Warhammer Age of Sigmar model to paint, and I might do that on a video or live stream over here if that's something you guys would be interested in. So if it is, please let me know down in the comments, and yeah, thank you for watching today, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.